What is up? It's Dakota Layden here from Destination Fear, and you are listening to the Paranormally Zone.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, fellow zoners and paranormal ponderers. You are in the Paranormally Zone, your weekly dose of all things, you guessed it, paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the unfortunately Yeti-less Mike Carbno. And by Yeti-less, no, I'm not talking about that big, giant, hairy, 8-foot smelly guy that hangs out across
Didn't feed him right, and he took off.
He took off. Nope, we're talking about Mike.
Yeah, hopefully it's just the cord, because if my if my Yeti is dead, I shall cry, and it shall be given a proper burial with complete honors.
That's what I was going to ask. I was just going to ask you, it's like, are you, if your Yeti is kaput, are you going to like bury it in the springtime, in your backyard?
I'll probably have it on display as something.
Oh, there you go.
Along with my mighty Mike.
Here lies Mike's Mike. Yeah. And we'll all bow down in reverence and respectful.
Actually, I'll probably have to switch over to my mighty Mike. I tried to find it real quick, but I have no idea where it's at. So I settled for the earbuds with a built-in microphone, which isn't ideal, but I think it's all sounded pretty good on the sound checks and everything.
We can understand you, and that's what matters. So, you know, if you're tuning in for the first time, the audio on Mike's end doesn't sound quite up to snuff as it usually does. He usually comes across loud and clear better than me, it seems, most of the time. But this is a last-minute fix, a temporary fix for tonight's episode. So do not worry, do not fret, do not fear. We are,
always here.
There you go. Always here. Audio.
Do not fear. We are always here.
Yeah. Okay.
Kind of.
The lighting in your camera, though, it makes it look like right now, it looks like you're in a night vision camera. It looks like you're in a haunted house. Mike's got a shade of green going there. It looks kind of funky, actually. So it's good. It's a good vibe for the podcast. Nope. Now you're too bright. Nope. There you go. There's Mike's.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yep. There's Mike's skin tone again. I see it.
Oh, I tell you.
But hey,
that's the way my last few weeks have been actually going like that. So this happening with the Yeti doesn't surprise me.
Well, I had another wonderful automobile issue today as well. Emergency drop off at the auto shop yet again. Thank God it was only a $100 fix this time, which I could barely handle. But yesterday I noticed just out of the blue my power steering went kaput, and I could barely steer the damn vehicle. When I got home, I checked the power steering reservoir, totally empty. I'm like, whoa,
reservoir
filled it up, filled it up to the max capacity there. Grabbed the daughter, said, we gotta go pick up the boy. We want to come to Walmart with me. Yeah. So anyways, the not even 7-mile drive to town, my steering started to go out again. The whole thing had leaked just in the 7 miles to town. And so, long story short.
Like a broken hose or a seal that went or something? Or?
Very good guesses, Mike. Yes, it was a blown O-ring. So there you go. And so it was just gushing out, and it's like, damn it. But luckily they were able to fit me in today, and so now it's knock on wood. Driving okay right now, so at least I can steer.
Good.
So,
Very good.
Lesson number one for all you people who have yet to come of driving age: it is important to be able to steer. So always remember that. That's you want to be able to enter your
drive
car
without it.
Yeah, don't drive without. You want to be able to get inside the car. You want to make sure your engine runs. No flat tires and steering capabilities. Those are the big ones. So. I
and
think
brakes.
Right. Brakes are pretty important too.
Yeah.
But thanks for making this work, Mike. It's good. It's good to see you again. We have a great episode, great topic lined up tonight. And very briefly, if you guys, just to make it clear, our Patreon content, our Patreon page is not. We're not shutting it down. It's still available. It has we have tons and tons and tons of awesome. Content on there. It's just we're temporarily halting the Patreon exclusive episodes, but we're still posting stuff when we come across it. And I am going to post something later tonight because I think that we discovered yet another EVP at the Sally House from our Sally House investigation. I just played it for Mike several times. Mike, tell the listeners your organic feelings about this that I played for you.
Well, I think it sounded really good. You were wondering if it might have been me.
I was, yes.
But it definitely wasn't me. And we were up in the Sally bedroom, and you had mentioned how you could just look out the window and see right down into the living room of the house next door.
Yes, we could.
So you did hear me after that say, yeah, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But between you saying that and me saying what I did, there's a very faint whisper. You said you might have caught 2 syllables.
Yes.
I'm not sure how many syllables I caught, but it was definitely a whisper, very light, but it was like somebody agreeing with what you said. Like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
And
that was the clearest part, was definitely the whispered yeah.
Yeah, and definitely a whisper. Yeah.
And Mike, when he first listened to it, I believe you again thought it sounded female.
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell, but that's the impression that I got and the kind of feeling or sound that sounded to me. But when it's that quiet and it's a whisper, it's kind of hard to tell. But
I'm just really glad that I randomly, because I listened to this stuff, basically the following days after we returned from the Sally House, and I thought I didn't capture that one in particular, and I just happened to start listening to it again last night just by chance, and I was within the first 3-4 minutes of this particular clip that I heard that. So, man, maybe there's more shit on this clip. I don't know, but I wanted to isolate that part and share it with you. So it's pretty cool. I'm going to be putting that on the Patreon page. So let us know what you guys think about it. You guys can have access to all this cool stuff for as little as $1 a month. And if you just want to see Mike and I running around haunted houses and cemeteries and all sorts of other crazy cool exclusive stuff, or you just love the podcast and want to show your support, head on over to the Paranormally Zone Patreon page. We'd love to see you guys there. I'm going to add that potential EVP, later this evening. So that's pretty darn cool.
I suggest you use headphones or earbuds.
Absolutely. Yes. And press said buds in ear. Cup your hands over said buds. And
because it is pretty light, but I like it. I like the.
It does come across really clear when you have decent set of headphones or what have you. It comes across pretty darn clear. So we'd love to hear you guys' thought on that. That's pretty freaking spectacular. I tweeted that from our ghost hunting Twitter page, Paranormally Z. If you guys haven't checked that out, go give us a follow. That thing is just kind of really taken off. I mean, it's nothing to most Twitter people who have large followings, but we're closing in on 1,200 followers on that dang page just out of the blue. It says every day we're getting 2 or 3 or 4 more, and they're all legit, real ones. I checked them all out. I don't follow, or I don't. I try to get rid of all these bots that are all over the place, but these are legit, so it's pretty cool. It's like, damn it, head on over to the podcast page and follow that too.
Have I followed that?
Paranormally Z. I don't know. I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I think I actually don't even remember hearing the name Paranormally Z.
Well, no, that's just what the Twitter handle is. It's
Okay,
our para.
Oh.
It's our para page.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So
you know how easily confused I am.
I know. I'm sorry, and I just confused him again. I wish everyone could see your befuddled look that you have right now. You're like, huh?
Yeah. And if I still sound a little froggy, I'm still not over this. Well over a month cold or flu or RSV or. But didn't have COVID. I tested myself for that.
But you sounded better last week. You sounded a lot better last week. So now you're thinking that you're
really?
But now you're thinking that you're slipping back again, or just.
I don't know. Maybe it's just today. I don't know. Well, you know what else I'm thinking, that I should probably get rid of the black mold that's been in the house for about 6 years.
That
and I don't
might
know
do it. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
All right, good. I hope you're kidding, man. Yeah, that stuff is nasty. Yeah,
it is.
Another word of advice: if you guys have black mold growing in your house, don't let it sit there.
Yeah,
just a word for the wise. Mike, we have. I mean, I hate always promoting or talking about these topics such as this and saying, "Man, this is such a great topic," because this is a very tragic story, true story,
extremely,
an unsolved crime.
And unsolved.
Over 100 years, this has remained unsolved. Those listening to this podcast,
1912.
Yeah, those listening to this podcast, those who are familiar and fans of the paranormal, we are pretty sure you are familiar with the VILLISCA Axe Murder House, and that is what we're talking about tonight. But with a little twist,
it's in Iowa.
We're talking. Yes, it is. Thank you, Mike.
6 children.
We're talking. VILLISCA.
4 children.
Shut up. We're talking
Sorry.
We're talking the VILLISCA Axe Murder Hauntings. That's right. We're going to give. We're going to talk about the tragic story itself and dive into some of the alleged paranormal occurrences that still go on there. And oh, hey, by the way,
yes,
we're heading there. We're heading there. Not joking. Patreon.
It is in the plan.
It is in the plan. It is in the very near future. I am putting up with yeah. All we have to do is
in the very near future that it'll be booked.
Absolutely, and all we have to worry about is dealing with a cranky old lady who does the bookings. So
yeah. I was reading the reviews and she did not get a good one.
Yeah.
And
she could be very nice. She could be very nice. I don't know. I don't even know if she's old. But, man, her email back to me was very, what's the word? What am I looking for? Kurt? Kurt. That's what I'm looking for.
Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of the reviews were just like, somebody said that she was the rudest person they'd ever dealt with.
Ugh.
And things like that. But then there's other ones that, a couple, not a whole lot, but that said that, the owner was a nice lady, and so it might be, depending what kind of mood she's in, or
absolutely,
she could be a bipolar. Who knows?
Well, no comment on that one. But man, this is yet another. What?
Go ahead.
Mike.
No, I was going to say she could have a shaved head, and she doesn't like it.
Oh well,
comes out in her personality.
Well, that's her choice. She can grow her hair out, but. Maybe she can't, so I feel bad now. But yeah, this is yet another one of those. Just as the Sally House, just how our Sally House adventure came to be, it came out as a suggested podcast topic on Mike's part. And you know what? The same thing happened just today, actually in reverse order. Mike had sent me some ideas about us making the trip down to VILLISCA. And it's a shorter trip.
It's 7 hours.
7 hours for us. The Sally House was 9 hours. So hell, this is nothing.
Yeah, it's like 7 hours and 13 minutes or something like that.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But and I'm like, damn it, that sounds great. Look, the plans were set in motion. Then all of a sudden we go, hell, how's this make for a podcast topic? And bingo, bango, bongo, here we are. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Mike, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about our planned adventure there, your vibes about the house? Let's do that. Let's do that before we dive into some of the meat of the episode. It's been a while since I've said that, before we dive
Yeah,
into
it
the
is.
meat of the episode.
I've appreciated that.
Now, this is something that you are very familiar with, I'm sure. Lots and lots of the big name paranormal programs out there, Ghost Adventures, Kindred Spirits, Destination Fear, the gang that we talked to just a couple weeks ago, have all visited and done investigations at the VILLISCA Axe Murder House. And, just as an example, I was watching a condensed interview with Adam Berry and Amy Bruni talking about their night there at the VILLISCA house. And right away, Adam Berry, Amy was saying, this has always been one of our, we've always wanted to go here. It's like kind of a bucket list thing. We just need to get here. And Adam right away said to be careful what you wish for. And she replied the same way. She goes, yes, seriously. And so, whoa, setting the tone. Mike, what is your vibe of the VILLISCA Axe Murder House?
Well, I'm going to try and be a little more reserved this time when I, because last time, I was really seriously getting the feelings about, everything I talked about, the feelings and the vibes and everything, but I'm going to really think through it and kind of be more accurate. But it's not like I wasn't inaccurate.
Yeah, you
on
were.
The last one.
Why'd you say that? I don't think you're inaccurate about.
I don't know.
You're saying you're saying your initial vibe was inaccurate.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha,
Well, all of that. I think a lot of that was excitement, and I'm even more excited about this trip. But from what I've been reading, if I'm going by not my feelings, but by what reviews and things, and a lot of people have talked about things that they had experienced there. There's more reviews of the daytime walkthrough kind of thing, and it's kind of crazy because people that go there during the day, and for just a little tour, it's not even a tour. They talk to you outside the house and give you a short, quick rundown of the story, and then they kind of let you go. But you've only got like 15 minutes or so to go through the house.
Right. That's not enough.
And there's a timer that's even set.
Oh man. Yeah.
It's like, the timer's going off. We got to go. And but that's
not
why
very.
You have to.
That's not very conducive
you can't
for
do anything.
Yeah, you can't do anything for a.
Yeah,
that's not conducive for a proper.
It's not worth it. It's only like a $10 admission fee, but that's still for like that short amount of time, and but
we won't say.
I think this is going to be awesome.
We won't say on the air how much this one is going to cost us. It's not outrageous by any means, but we're planning on doing the overnight, of course, because we're not going to go drive all the way down there for no damn 15-minute tour.
No.
We're we're going to be by ourselves again overnight. And man, this place, what a history, what a tragic history. But, one thing I wanted to say too, Mike, in response to what you were saying there is from what I've read and looked into, some paranormal investigators really are on the side of, or strongly they are on the side of feeling that the house kind of messes with you, and they kind of suggest that. Well, one particular paranormal investigation group, I read the article they wrote about that they published about their night there. They came away with the feeling that if you go there, and if you, I'm paraphrasing, essentially, if you're a good person, you're going to have good experiences. If you're there, if you're negative, if you're a bad person, you're going to have negative experiences. So I don't know if I buy into that much. Another person, a neighbor, the neighbor who actually does or did some of the tours, he is also a paranormal investigator. He was the one who said that he really truly feels that the house is, he's along the same lines there. He feels that the house is like a mirror. It like reflects how you are as a person, because the house itself is being manipulated, or whatever is in the house is trying to manipulate those who are in there. It's really crazy. And one final thing, watching a clip of the Kindred Spirits investigation there, Chip Coffey was wandering through, good old Chip, and the brief clip that I watched, he was saying that, nope, I'm on to this guy. He said it was a guy. I'm on to him, and he's he is a wimp, basically. He is easily manipulated. He knows that I'm onto him, and so now basically, and you know how Chip gets. Chip gets kind of fired up and everything, you know. So it almost sounds like this is for lack of a better term, a bully. You know, someone who is a hell of a lot less strong than they like to make themselves out to be. Again, who the hell knows? But pretty interesting.
Wow, cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a great, fantastic trip. I mean, there's no way it can't be. We're going to be successful.
And we're going to do much better. We're going to be much more prepared.
Yes. We have learned from the Sally House that there's things that we need to do differently, do more of. You know, and this place, looking at all the pictures that they had, there is a basement you can go into, and the attic is a huge part of the house important part of the house that we need to go into because they think that possibly the murderer hid in that attic. I think when they were at church or something like that.
You are correct. Yeah.
And waited for them to come home and stayed in the attic until they went to bed and then came out and did his thing. Yeah,
you're correct. The family, the family of 6 and the 2 neighbor girl friends who were just invited over for the night, just that day, to have a nice fun night playing with the other kids. They went to a children's day program at the church, the Presbyterian church there, from 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. And when they got home, they basically, I'm sure they all went to bed. They were probably tired. And that's when the tragedy went down. And, you know, this is a small town. It was a small town.
It's a very small town.
Back in 1912, I mean, everyone was neighborly. You know, no one locked their doors, Mike. Whoever did this. Some people still think it may have been multiple people. They just simply waited for everyone to leave, and they walked right in, and they waited in the house. That itself is terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
I don't like it. Well, are you going to have any apprehension about going there, Mike, knowing what is there, the sadness that is potentially there? And this place is still covered with family pictures of, you know, of the Moores,
and
the Moore
also,
family.
Speaking of what's still there, or what is there, is the there's still axe marks on the ceiling.
Oh my God!
Well, it's like a slanted ceiling where it's kind of low. And, it's like when the guy brought up the axe to swing again, it put holes and marks in the ceiling, and they're still there.
Oh my God! So,
you know,
I suppose, why wouldn't they be? Why wouldn't they still be there? Yeah.
Well, nobody covered them up over that, you know, over 100 years ago, and just I don't know. If somebody were going to live in that house after that happened, and I don't even know if anybody did live in that house after it happened, but.
There have been people who have attempted to stay there. Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because those are the people who have. Those are the people. Oh shit! We must have a delay here. We keep talking over each other, but that's fine.
Oh no, that was just me. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll blame that. No. There are people who have attempted to live at the house since then, and several of them have claimed to have experienced a lot of creepy stuff going on in this house. One particular gentleman, again featured in the Kindred Spirits episode, he called them specifically because he, having lived there, was experiencing a lot of disturbing, you know, events, and so much so that he went to. I'm not sure if he recorded this, but he says that he heard. His name was John Worley. He heard phantom voice from within this house say, "Kill John Worley," which is him. And he was very traumatized by this, but what traumatized him even further was that immediately following this, several of his family members and friends started to get sick, and some of them even passed away. And this poor gentleman somehow felt that he had some sort of curse attached to him by being in the house that adversely affected his family. And so that's why he reached out to Kindred Spirits for help, because he needed to have he needed help. And Chip, again in this episode, he alleviated his fears. He said, "I'm getting, you know, voices from the spirits here that are saying that this is not your fault. You know, you need to basically let it go." And I'm sure he felt a little bit better after that. But
yeah, I'm sure.
Again, I mean, what is going on in this damn house? Is there such a thing as I mean, it's one thing to have spirits that haunt a house, but does the house itself have some sort of... Does the house itself encompass or absorb some sort of, paranormal energy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I felt that about the Sally house, actually, even.
Oh, really? You never said that.
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I must have.
You said that. You said that the house.
The house can mess with you, I think.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did. I'm sorry. I'm sure you did.
No, that's okay. And then it makes me think of when I was there early on in the night, and I was affected pretty strongly by confusion.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
I was looking around the house going, where, there's something, it's like, how can I explain this? It's like,
it's not, well, I remember you saying you felt confused by the layout, and it just didn't,
by the layout of the house and the way things are. And
something felt wrong to you.
Yeah. Almost the idea of somebody that lived there years ago and might still be there. God dang it, my throat.
That's okay. Oh, Mike's gurgling some. What is that? Is that Canadian whiskey you got going there? No. Or is that apple juice?
It's a sugar-free cherry drink.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay.
It was like somebody that lived there before being there at the time we were there and not recognizing the house that they used to live in. It's like being confused and like, something's not right here.
That's right. I remember you saying
I don't know. It was just really, and that went on for maybe 45 minutes to an hour, maybe.
Well, it was strongly affecting you for a while. I mean,
and then I was fine after that.
Because I kept asking you several times, are you okay? I got the vibe that there was something off with you too. So again, that's kind of, that adds a little credence to the potential reality of just something about that house. The house, is it the house or is it the land that it's on?
Right.
There's so many possibilities about that. And, a lot of people who've looked deeply into this tragic mystery, unsolved crime, they truly feel that this, how do I want to say it? Well, basically that the house can drive you mad if you let it.
Yeah.
And some believe that the quote unquote haunting of that house is what drew one potential suspect to commit the murders. And we'll dive into that briefly here too. But this man, there was a man who confessed to these murders, but he, nothing ever came out of it because they think he was schizophrenic. But it's really interesting when you hear what he said he heard. Final thought. Final thoughts, Mike, about. Before we dive into the story, final thoughts on kind of the vibe and the excitement and what you expect. And man, I can't convey enough how excited I was when we both agreed to do this, and particularly when I realized how much closer it was to us than the Sally house. Yeah,
that's nice. Even though it's only a couple hours, that's still.
Hey, still
really good.
That's nothing. That's nothing. So again, forgive me if I'm repeating myself. Any apprehension, any negative vibes, or is this something you're going to have to meditate on a bit and really look into and kind of absorb?
I definitely got to meditate on it and really dig into it. And there's things about it that are going to be tough, especially if this one thing that this one of the reviews I read, this person said. Now, I don't know if you've seen this or read this or not, but there is no electricity in the house.
I thought it said that there was on the website, but maybe I read that wrong.
Hopefully and that could have been an old review. Hopefully they do now. But what this person said was that there's no electricity in the house, but there's an extension cord that runs in there so you can charge your phones up.
Sure.
But can you imagine that? We're in there and that entire house is dark.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got some good bright flashlights that'll light up a room. And, but that's crazy.
Maybe we need to, do you have like a generator at all? Do you know anyone who has a generator? I think I could probably get my hands on one so we can maybe.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
And there's very minimal. There's
case,
minimal heating. Minimal heating. I know that.
Yeah.
There is.
I did read another review where a person said that they were there in the spring.
Yeah.
And they said it was fine inside. It was,
yes.
Temperature was good and everything. But
there is running water, I believe, right? I think I read that.
I believe so.
I'd have to go look at this at the website description of it again, but Mike, even if it doesn't, it'll freaking be awesome.
Oh yeah, the
barn has a museum in it.
A museum, and they did say that there is a nice clean bathroom in there.
That's what I read. Yeah. Maybe that's where the running water is. Actually, is in the barn and stuff.
What are we going to do if there isn't running water and we don't have free access to a toilet?
Yeah.
You know how I was at the Sally House.
Okay.
That McDonald's did not sit with me.
Okay. Rule number 1: we are not going to, no matter how desperate we are, like we were that night, we are not going to eat McFrickin' again before an investigation. Okay, not going to do it.
So. What another person said about the town, okay, it's really small, and there is a Casey's there, which has good pizza, and there's also a little cafe.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's our choices.
Well, you know what? That's fine. That will work. I don't know what the nearest fairly decent-sized town is to Villisca, but man, we'll make it work. We'll
definitely make it work. But I did see a couple of pictures of down in the basement, and that looked creepy.
Well, I said, the attic looks kind of creepy with those Amityville horror windows in there
I know. Too. And then in the basement, they had a picture of an outhouse toilet down there.
Woohoo! Well, there you go, right there.
Which I'm sure nobody uses, hopefully, but
well, we'll see. We'll find out.
It'll be great.
No,
it's going to be exciting. It's going to be more productive than, I think, hopefully, than the Sally House.
Yeah, and not that the Sally House wasn't productive.
Right. The Sally House was great.
We just potentially caught another EVP off of that, which would make 2, over. And,
right.
The minimal amount of digital recording that I had going there. But I think I had not even 3 hours of that going because we were just... We were
exhausted.
We were exhausted and kind of disorganized and trying to figure shit out. But anyways, Mike, how long have you been familiar with this story? Is it
quite a while? It's been a few years, and it's always fascinated me. I've always been interested in it, and not that I know everything about it, but
you don't. You're not an expert, Mike. You don't know everything.
I am not an expert on nothing.
I am not an expert on nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he's not an expert on grammar, boys and girls. Yeah, exactly. I'll give you a rundown of the story here. Yes, I am going to read. So please bear with me. I'm going to read to give Mike's throat a break here and stuff. You're starting to sound a little rough there, buddy. But again. So those murdered.
Maybe better stop sword swallowing. I don't know.
Oh, that. Again,
got lacerations to the esophagus.
Yeah. Again, the obvious, the obvious. It's like, what could possibly be irritating my throat? Oh, that's right, that 4-foot sword. Okay.
You should see it when it comes out the other end. Holy jeez. But it cleans itself off after it comes through back again.
Gross. Okay, just stop.
Okay, go ahead. Read.
All right. Yes.
Read your thing.
The tragedy, and again, we have a good time here on the Paranormally Zone and stuff. And we're not, if we break out in laughter and jokes and stuff, we are never ever mocking the real life tragedy that occurred here. Just
definitely not.
Definitely not. But the family that was slaughtered, massacred, 43-year-old the Moore family, 43-year-old Josiah B. Moore and his wife, 39-year-old Sarah. Their 4 children: Herman, 11, Mary Catherine, 10, Arthur Boyd, 7, Paul Vernon, 5. And the neighbor girls who were invited over just that night, again, Ina May, 8, and Lena Gertrude, the Stillinger girls, 12. Invited over June 9th, 1912 to have a fun night. I mean, they're kids. Who knows what they're planning on doing,
Yeah. It's so young.
just tragically young, just going to bed exhausted after coming back from that children's day program at the church. Briefly, Mike, one thing I learned today, did you know this, by the way, that VILLISCA in Sioux and Fox Indian language actually means place of evil spirits?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, that adds to it.
If we're wrong, let me know. But that was on a documentary / program I watched on that today, in the prep for this episode. So that was kind of I'm not sure how I feel about that one. Now, as the story goes, nope, I lost my page here. Sorry, bear with me.
Well, I will say while you're looking for your spot,
I got it. I got it again, but that's okay.
Okay, the axe. When these people were killed with an axe, they were found with severe head wounds.
Yeah,
several severe head wounds, and several suspects. One was tried twice, and the first trial ended in a hung jury. The second ended in an acquittal.
Yep.
And they still remain unsolved.
Yep.
Ugh. Anyway, go ahead.
And one thing I've heard differing versions too. I've heard that it was, and this is true, that the father Josiah, he was the first to be murdered, and he was murdered with the blade end of the axe. His head was literally split open. His eyes were gone upon discovery, and the rest of the victims were all bludgeoned by the blunt end of the axe.
So it was an axe with a flat.
Yep, and then
end. Okay.
Yep, and then the blade end, obviously.
Right.
It was June 9th, 1912, when Josiah and Sarah Moore and their 4 young children returned home after attending a children's day at the town Presbyterian church. The Moore family were members of the church, and Sarah, in fact, had been coordinating that evening's events. 2 neighbor girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, had asked to stay the night, just that night, as we has mentioned. Agreeing to do it, their parents were never to see their children alive again. The Moores returned home between 9:30 and 10 p.m. and retired to bed. Obviously, none of them were suspecting anything. Why would they? Again, Mike, as I said, This is a small town. Everyone knew each other. What they obviously didn't know, that there was a killer or killers waiting somewhere in their damn house. Again, that just is terrifying in itself.
Yeah, and they speculate the attic.
Yeah.
That they hid there, but
yeah,
it was actually go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say it was actually the next morning, the neighbor lady, noticing that they didn't come out of their house.
Yeah.
Went and found them.
Yeah, it was the neighbor lady who went. She peered in the windows, knocked on the doors, didn't get any replies, and then went and asked another neighbor to come over, and he actually entered the house because he had a key that fit the house. I mean, again, these are neighbors who give their neighbors keys to their houses.
Exactly.
And he's the one who discovered the bodies. Again, how horrifying could that have been? I don't even want to think about it. Now, the kill. Oh my God, Mike, are you serious? Oh my Lord.
I just freaked Patrick.
What the hell? Mike, literally, how long have you been having that sit there? Have you just been waiting for the moment to do this? Okay, everybody. Mike just literally pulled out a fucking axe right now. And yes, I dropped an F-bomb. What the hell?
It's actually, it's an axe that it's been in my family for many, many years. I remember when I was a very young child, like in the 60s, and my dad had it. And just recently, I mean, the handle was really, old and messed up. I believe it had a crack in it. But my young nephew, he's always wanted to like restore things like this or whatever. And so I let him have it. I let him take it, and he cleaned up the axe head really well. And then actually put a new handle on it. And so just from that being done, it's just been here in my living room for a little while.
Okay.
And then just now when we're sitting here, like Oh, I'm gonna go grab that axe real quick.
That's why you got up and left for a second.
Yeah.
Holy crapola, man. I'm just
But
telling you, that was kind of startling, though.
Yeah.
I look up and there's Mike. Just wait. Oh, my God. I don't know. Wielding this freaking axe. Okay. Where the hell was I? Oh, yeah. The killer had been waiting in the house, which, again, like I was saying, when Mike disappeared, that is so creepy and terrifying. Think about it. The one place that you should feel safe at all times, is your own home. And the killer had, it is assumed that the killer had found Mr. Moore's axe outside and brought it into the house with him, obviously, when he was waiting. The killer, it was easy for him to let himself in because, as we said earlier, it was a small community. Everyone knew and trusted each other, and the doors were unlocked. They felt safe leaving their houses unlocked. The killer/killers settled themselves in the attic, and supposedly, I've heard differing versions of this, supposedly were smoking cigarettes because, according to the investigation, cigarette butts were found on the floor of the attic. But I also read that the tour guides at the VILLISCA house say that isn't true. So that's kind of interesting. I don't know what's real in that.
It's like we've talked about before over the years, how things get added or changed or embellished.
And I'm looking at a picture of the attic right now, and that is one creepy looking freaking attic. With those windows there. Mike had the awesome idea. Are you going to be able to do this, Mike? Mike had the awesome idea of doing a sensory deprivation session or two in the attic. I think that we should probably be up there together if we're going to do that. We're going to definitely need to use walkie-talkies, Mike.
Absolutely.
That was one thing that, again, Adam and Amy did. And Adam was very apprehensive. He was saying this was the strongest, oh my gosh, I can't even speak. I'm so excited. He felt very apprehensive and nervous about doing this. He didn't really know why. And he said he never really felt this way before. But he went into the house by himself when Amy was out in the barn. And they were communicating only through walkie-talkies and their cameras. Now that obviously he set himself up right outside the attic, looking into the attic, and he did EVP sessions. He had EMF going. They had, the K2, all that stuff. And again, you can hear this. You can find this clip on YouTube where he asked, did you hurt this family? And it came back, I killed them. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Crazy.
And Amy actually picked up an EVP where she was saying, kind of laying down the law, saying, you're not going to do this to me. You're not going to do this to anyone else anymore. And came back a very clear and creepy F you. I mean, it didn't say F you. It was, what it was. Now, once the killer or killers was satisfied that the whole family and friends were asleep, made his way down the stairs, quietly came out of the attic. Feet away from the attic door is the main bedroom where Mr. and Mrs. Moore were sleeping. Using the flat end of the axe, and he brought that flat end down, raising it up to the roof, brought it down upon Josiah's head. Quickly did the same to Sarah. And then he reached the axe as far up as he could go to get more force to the swing, which left an indent in the ceiling, as Mike was talking about.
Yeah, there's more than a couple of indents in the ceilings.
Yeah. And if you're wondering why I said that he used the blade end on Josiah, because he came back later and started on, for whatever reason, he didn't feel satisfied after killing the remainder of the family. He returned to the main bedroom and split open Mr. Moore's head. Yeah,
he had more blows from the axe than anybody in the family.
Yep.
Or anybody else who was killed. Kind of makes you think, well, was this some kind of a vendetta against him? They're taking out more anger on him, and they're just destroying his head.
I read that
making sure.
I've read that some people believe it was a business rival of his who wanted to put him out for obviously financial reasons.
Wow.
Now, after killing Mr. and Mrs. Moore, the killer/killers quickly made his or their way down to the adjoining small bedroom where the four children slept, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, and repeated his actions. It is thought, though, that mercifully there's no indication that any of these kids were awake when they were struck.
Yeah.
Which I hope to God is true.
Ugh. Then when we went back to inflict more damage on the guy, it says he knocked over a shoe that had filled with blood.
I read that too.
Oh my God.
The killer then made his way downstairs into the small back bedroom in which the guests, Ina and Lena, were sleeping. It is, however, thought that Lena did wake at the very last minute, so she may have very well been aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No, I know. That adds adds even more sadness, immeasurable sadness to that. It's what happened next, though. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
But the killer didn't. It's like he didn't leave right away after doing this.
Well, no. After killing the kids, he went right back up, and like I said, he finished off, even though they were already dead. Went back and attacked Mr. Moore again.
Right.
Systematically bludgeoning his victims' heads until they were unrecognizable. After finishing this brutal act, he not only covered up their heads, but also all the mirrors in the house. Finally finished with his victims, the killer slipped away into the darkness and left one of the most tragic and unsolved mysteries, as the murderer has never been caught or convicted. And I also read, Mike, a historian of VILLISCA talking about these murders. He said that the children's heads had been cut off.
Really?
So again, are there differing versions here? This is an historian. Maybe he has more knowledge about the details, but
like when I was saying that the guy didn't, or whoever didn't leave right away, the axe was actually found. Let's see. Afterwards,
you got it. Pull it out. You got it.
There's a 4-pound slab of bacon that was taken out of the icebox.
That's right. What
and
the
laid
hell?
Next to the axe.
What the hell is that all about? Is that some sort of wicked symbolism? And what's going on with that?
I don't know. And then it says investigators also found untouched food and bloody water during the search.
Bloody water? Was he trying to cleanse blood off of his own hands, maybe?
I don't know. It's crazy. And then
go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, this gets. I don't know if we're reading the same thing or if I'm just seeing more here. But when you said that they thought that the one girl was awake and tried to fight back, she was found lying crosswise on the bed and with a defensive wound on her arm.
Right. That's probably why they thought that she was awake, because she was trying to deflect the blows, which is terrible.
And then I'd never heard this before, but Lena's nightgown, the little girl, was pushed up to her waist, and she was wearing no undergarments, leading to law enforcement speculation that the killer sexually molested her or attempted to do so.
Right. Oh, my God.
There's just way too much going on. I mean...
Yeah. It's just the fact that this has never been solved. Whoever did this got away with it. They got away with it.
Boy, and you can go into some really... really detailed kind of like conspiracy stuff here. Like, I mean, I got this, I'm not saying it's a psychic feeling or anything, but I had the thought when I was finished reading that somebody knows who did it. And there's, for some reason, it wasn't brought to justice for some reason. I don't know if this could have been a
cover-up of some sort, or
a cover-up of some sort. This could have been maybe some influential businessman, like it could, like you said, could have been a business rival. But anybody that would cover that up, it's just it's unthinkable to me. As much as doing the act.
Did you happen to see one of the photos that was taken the day before of two of the girls, or maybe it was the two of the neighbor girls? Forgive me, I don't know. There's a photo of them with an older gentleman that, according to what I was reading about this photo, no one knows who this person is.
Really?
And they're like, is this person somehow involved in this?
Maybe. This is another thought that I just had. Could be just pulling that out of my butt, or maybe I'm getting an impression. Who knows? Was there somebody passing through. Could have been a vagrant or something that was asking for, a night of lodging or some food for exchange for some work or something. And that's why this person was there, not in there hiding,
right?
But knowing that they were there, because these little towns they do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially back then. It could have just been, like I said, passing through town and not even from there. And the opportunity, or it could have been his intentions to begin with, to wait until they came home. But then again, see, I'm trying to figure this out as I go. But then, why would he be hiding in the attic? But then actually, there isn't exact proof that there was somebody hiding in the attic.
Mm-hmm.
That's just possibly a theory because of the cigarette butts, whether they're there or not. But maybe it was somebody that they were letting be there.
And that, like you said, it's important to know that that's something that was not an uncommon thing, especially in friendly small towns. People traveling through looking for work. I will knock on doors and I'll introduce myself and say, "You need help around the house." I'll earn
$1 so they don't get him to the next town or something after.
And then after the murders are done, he goes on to the next town. Man. Well, one of the suspects, Mike, is someone who is considered to be an axe murderer serial killer, Henry Lee Moore. Now, Henry Lee Moore, born in 1874, was an American forger, murderer, and suspected serial killer who was convicted of killing his mother and grandmother with an axe. Now, while in prison, it is alleged by a Justice Department agent named W.M. McClary that Moore was also possibly responsible for a string of unsolved axe murders in several states, among them the VILLISCA axe murders. So, I mean, maybe.
Yeah. And what was it that made them think that it could have been him? Was he
because he was just the time frame fits, the locale fits, the other unsolved murders that he is connected to. I mean, all of them are very similar. The fact that he used an axe, these murders are all committed by an axe. I mean, they have to look into all of them. They really do. Now, one thing that's creepy and terrifying is that one of the main suspects is a man who actually confessed to it. As I mentioned earlier, the local Reverend, Mr. George Kelly, who confessed that he pulled off all of these murders. Now, what's creepy about it is that he says that he heard voices telling him to do that, basically.
Well, maybe he did.
But he described it as such. He was going for a walk one night in the small town of VILLISCA when he started hearing, I wrote this down. He heard, he was being pulled toward this house. He didn't understand why, but he felt like he needed to go to this house, and he claimed that he heard a voice tell him, quote, "Slay and slay utterly." Told him to enter the house. He says it led him to the axe in the yard, and it just basically told him to wait in the house until the family returned. But he was dismissed. Basically, his claims were dismissed because people thought he was simply insane, schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And they didn't believe what he said. But he also hopped the train that very same day and left the town. So
really?
It's like, what the hell?
Well, okay, it was a reverend, you said?
Yes, Reverend George Kelly.
Okay, so did they have more than one church there? Which small towns do, because different religions that are, make up the community.
Yeah.
But was he like the reverend from the church that the people were at the church for that day, that program that they're supposed to be at?
That's a good question.
I don't know. It just kind of seems like a kind of an odd connection, but who knows? That's just very,
Now
it's hard to speculate that.
I just found an article from SmithsonianMag.com talking about the VILLISCA murders. And I'm going to take it up to where the murderer slaughters the Stillinger girls. Now it says, what happened next marked the VILLISCA killings as truly peculiar and still sends shivers down the spine more than a century after the fact. The Axeman went back upstairs and systematically reduced the heads of all 6 Moors to a bloody pulp, kind of mentioned that, striking Joe alone an estimated 30 times, leaving the faces of all 6 members of the family unrecognizable.
Yeah.
He then drew up the bedclothes to cover Joe and Sarah's shattered heads, placed a gauze undershirt over Herman's face and a dress over Catherine's, covered Boyd and Paul as well, and then finally administered the same terrible post-mortem punishment to the girls downstairs. So this claims that he, according to this article, that he went down and absolutely bludgeoned the kids even more after, killing them. Just for what? I mean, just for the sick pleasure of it, perhaps.
Well, maybe, but there's just so much going on with that it's hard to think that it's just it's a random thing, or there's got to be a huge reason that this guy was in there. Especially when he took so many. He did so many things before, during, and after these murders. Like he even covered up the mirrors.
Yeah.
Which,
what the hell's that all
time
about?
I was checking that. Okay. It says, why would a killer cover mirrors? And it says here, family members prepared the house for death by stopping clocks and covering windows. Of course, mirrors were covered. This was to prevent the deceased spirit from being trapped.
Really?
So he's preparing the house for these deaths. Was that while they're sleeping or after they were killed?
Well, it's supposedly, again, he supposedly hung out in the house for quite a while. He didn't. Oh,
that's right. He did.
Yeah, he didn't leave till like 5 or 6 a.m. Allegedly. No one knows for certain, but that's what it's believed to have occurred.
So there's a lot of preparation that went into these killings.
And he took the house keys with him. When he left, he took the house keys with him. Is that just a token of what he did? Murderers, particularly serial killers, they love having a piece of what they did with them forever.
Yeah, kind of a memory of the whole deal. I don't know.
Yeah, the bodies, the estimated time of death, again, it's pretty broad. The estimated time of death between midnight and 3 a.m. I'm going through this article right now. This is pretty disturbing. Oh, I did hear that too on that program. When, it's a small town. When news started leaking out, a lot of curious locals started gathering around the house, wondering what was happening here. They were told to keep out. You're going to regret what you see if you go in there. And they just trampled the place. Totally like destroying how much evidence. And
yeah, right.
It's that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it says here many ignored this advice. As many as 100 curious neighbors and townspeople tramped as they pleased through the house, scattering fingerprints, and in one case even removing fragments of Joe Moore's skull as a macabre keepsake.
Well, let's make an ashtray out of this.
Yeah, what the hell, dude?
Oh, my God.
Obviously, the murders absolutely convulsed VILLISCA, particularly after a few clumsy and futile attempts to search the surrounding countryside for a transient killer failed to unearth a likely suspect. The simple truth was that there was no sign of the murderer's whereabouts. He might have vanished into his own home nearby. Equally, given a head start of up to 5 hours in a town at which nearly 30 trains called every day, he might easily have made good his escape. Again, it's said that the Reverend himself hopped the train that day. Bloodhounds were tried without success. After that, there was little for the townspeople to do but gossip, swap theories and such.
Yeah, there's that many people going through the house and the crime scene like that. That destroys everything.
Yeah, I mean, again, is that just ignorance, or is that what the hell's going on? Is that just the absolute? They're all in a state of. They're all in a frenzy. I mean, how can they not be? They're all like manic almost at that time, because this is absolutely new and unbelievable. But you'd think you'd be able to restrain yourself, people. I mean, come out. Well, this is your neighbor. This is your friend.
Yeah, and to the point of taking a piece of his skull.
That's
terrible. As a souvenir.
That's awful.
I mean, where is that piece of skull now? Is it like in somebody's? Somebody in the family still has it somewhere.
I hope not. Yeah,
oh my God!
How do you explain that to your grandkids? Say, I want to give this to you, young Bessie, and I stole it from the bludgeoned skull of a man murdered over 100 years ago.
Don't mind the dried brain matter on it.
God damn it! I know. I'm laughing at Mike. I'm not laughing at this tragedy.
Well, like you said, we get a little crazy, and we're not making fun of any of this.
Well, sometimes, Mike, we have to break out in humor just to kind of alleviate our psyches here. Again, we have to wrap it up here in about 10 minutes or so. One of the obvious, it says here obvious, a huge suspect, a main suspect, may have been Frank Jones, a tough local businessman and state senator, who was also a prominent member of VILLISCA's Methodist Church. It says here that Edgar Epperly, the leading authority on the murders, reports that the town quickly split along religious lines, the Methodists insisting on Jones' innocence, and the Moores Presbyterian congregation convinced of his guilt. Though never formally charged with any involvements in the murders, Jones became the subject of a grand jury investigation and a prolonged campaign to prove his guilt, which destroyed his political career. Well, good. Many townspeople were certain he used his considerable influence to have the case against him squashed.
That's where I'm talking conspiracy, that thought that popped into my head.
Yep.
I mean, when you said that, all of that, who he was and what he did, and it's like, I don't know. That's the feeling I get, but who knows?
Now, briefly, I want to read about the Reverend here. Again, I don't know if this is a middle name or if George was a middle name, because I've read that his name was George Kelly. This says Reverend Lynn Kelly, so we'll go with this one for now, with Lynn Kelly.
Okay.
He was a peculiar Presbyterian preacher, and he attended the Children's Day service that we were speaking of, in which he gave recitations, and he also, as we said, later confessed to murdering the family. But few people believed that a man of Jones' age and eminence, few people believe that a man of Jones' age and eminence, he was 57 in 1902, would have swung the axe himself, but in some minds, he was certainly capable of paying someone else to wipe out more in his family. So this is where the theory comes down to theory of James Wilkerson, an agent of the renowned Burns Detective Agency, who in 1916 announced that Jones had hired a killer by the name of William Mansfield to murder the man who had humiliated him. Wilkerson, who made enough of a nuisance of himself to derail Jones' attempts to secure re-election to the state Senate, there you go, and who eventually succeeded in having a grand jury convened to consider the evidence he had gathered, was able to show that Mansfield had the right sort of background for the job. In 1914, he was the chief suspect in the axe murders of his wife, her parents, and his own child in Blue Island, Illinois. But it turns out that Wilkerson had a cast iron alibi, so he was never formally charged. And again, we already talked about Lynn/George Kelly, possibly psychosis problems going on there, hearing these lascivious, terrible voices telling them what to do. But it's not one thing I'm reading here right now, Mike. Oh, yeah, there we go. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm jumping all over the place. George was his middle name. Lynn George Jacqueline Kelly. There you go.
Whoa. Sounds like a movie actor.
So now, going back to George, Mike's starting to shake here like he has to go pee. So
no,
okay.
I'm good. I'm just,
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
A far stronger and far stranger candidate for the Axeman was Reverend Lynn George Jacqueline Kelly, an English immigrant, a preacher, and a known sexual deviant with well-recorded mental problems. But he is a reverend, so there you go. Good.
Oh, yeah.
He had been in the town on the night of the murders and freely admitted that he had left on a dawn train just before the bodies were discovered, as we mentioned earlier. There were things about Kelly that made him seem an implausible suspect. One being that he was only 5'2" and weighed 119 pounds, but in other ways he fit the bill. He was left-handed, and Coroner Lindquist had determined from an examination of blood splatters in the murder house that the killer probably swung his axe left-handed. Kelly was obsessed with sex and had been caught peering into windows in Villisca 2 days before the murders. In
And he wasn't window shopping for a new dress either.
Oh, hell no. In 1914, while living in Winner, South Dakota, he would advertise for a, quote, girl stenographer to do confidential work. And that ad placed in the Omaha World Herald will also specify that the successful candidate, quote, must be willing to pose as a model. When a young woman named Jessamine Hodgson responded, she received in turn a letter described by a judge as so obscene, lewd, lascivious, and filthy as to be offensive to this honorable court and improper to be spread upon the record thereof. So, yeah, this guy was a perv.
Wow.
And then it goes on to talk about Henry Lee Moore, who we mentioned earlier. Again, unsolved, no one knows, tragic, bloody, brutal, and it will never be solved. Is it safe to say that this will never be solved?
I would say. I still say that there's more going on than what is let out. I still think of the cover-up thing. You know,
I think that's so peculiar too that you brought that up, and then just what I happened to read later.
I brought it up before that too.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You did, and then what I read it just absolutely fit into that.
Because I was thinking somebody prominent that had whatever. You know, it just doesn't. I mean, somebody could have slipped away. They could have done it, slipped away, got away, whatever. But there's just so much going on with how it was done. And like the father being so worse, I mean, bludgeoned so much worse and his head destroyed that it's almost like a crime of just passion and anger and just something against him. And, you know, in this guy's mind, he had to kill everyone, all of them. I don't know. That's it. Some kind of a vengeance thing or something. I don't know.
You know, there is that possibility too. We don't know either way. Is there something about the house itself? Is there something about the land itself that is causing people to do this? That Reverend claimed that he heard these voices, these evil, I'm going to throw that word, perhaps demonic voices. People who have lived at the house, investigators, have reported terrifying, footsteps being, up when they're upstairs doing an investigation. They hear footsteps so loud that they swore someone broke into the house. And they run down the steps as quickly as they can, and guess what? No one's there. Those investigators I was reading about earlier, their night there, they said they slept in the car because deep down they didn't want to catch anything. They were there to do an investigation.
2:00 in the morning and didn't go back.
Because they said deep down, in hindsight, deep down, they really didn't want to capture anything because the moment they got in there, they just had this overwhelming feeling of sadness. And, is that an imprinted energy, Mike? So many people, investigators, have claimed to have heard the voices, not only on digital playback, but they've heard children's voices, wails,
children's laughter. I think
I didn't hear about the laughter, but I've heard wails, cries,
whales.
Whales, humpbacks, and
what do you mean porpoises?
No, not porpoises. That's a porpoise is a porpoise. So
I have no porpoise for that. I've
got no porpoise for that porpoise. That was terrible.
Anyway,
I was on a roll there. Then you throw out a. Okay. Whales, Wails. Okay.
Okay.
Not whales. Oh, I'm going to stop. Mike's just got this.
Not the country.
Not the.
Not where Sir Tom Jones is from.
He heard a bunch of Welsh accents just going throughout the house.
My Delilah.
That was an awful Tom Jones, but hey.
You got scratchy throat.
You know what? If you're ever going to be haunted by somebody, I would love to be haunted by the dulcet tones of Tom Jones singing to me every night. But
because even after he's dead, he's still going to have that perfect voice he still has.
Just when I'm trying to, right about ready to fall into sleep. In the background, I hear, "She's a lady." She's a lady. Yeah, sorry, that's terrible.
Well, that was better than my Tom Jones.
I guess. Again, man, I hope we talk about a lot of the paranormal stuff to earn the episode title here, the VILLISCA Axe Murder Hauntings. Final thoughts, Mike, on this house causing these? Is the house driving people mad? Can it drive people mad? Is the house itself an entity? Is it somehow, or was the house innocent, for lack of a better term, before these murders occurred? I mean, I know that's a tough question. I love putting you on the spot, but what do you think? What are your vibes on that?
It's a house, but that event that happened has changed it a lot.
Okay.
You know, I think.
So you don't think the house caused the
I
event?
don't think so. And, you know, and I'm going to say that it wasn't no demon thing.
Sure.
But that's just me.
Listen,
that's
it wasn't no demon thing.
That's just, you know, me and my opinion. But
well, your opinion
what
sucks.
the house maybe became after that, it could not stay the same. I mean, the energy that's been put into it, you know, just from that night of just horrendous terror and violence and death. I mean, no place would be the same after that.
No, I agree with you.
But before, I think it was, you know, just
So
a family living there, all happy, and then
you're throwing out
things
you're throwing out Reverend George or Lynn George Kelly's excuse of hearing the voices and pulling him towards the house. And
well, you know, what kind of trust can you put in the words of somebody that is so demented as he is?
Yeah, very true. Yeah, warped,
you know,
warped and demented, and it's almost like he wanted credit for it or something. You know?
Yeah.
It's like that's,
and for him to, you know, have credit for it, but also at the same time, well, it wasn't me; it was what I was told to do.
Yeah, it's like, no, doesn't work that way, buddy. Yeah, I'm kind of with you, Mike. I'm not necessarily sure that the house caused this, but I truly am on the side of belief that if this house is indeed haunted, it is caused by what happened there.
Yeah.
And the preceding years of everyone, you know, kind of going in and out, you know, kind of maybe similar to a Sally House type thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know, we're almost kind of creating something ourselves.
Yep. There's constantly having energy fed to that house.
Yeah. And if you're going in there, if you're terrified and you're creeped out, I mean, maybe you're leaving some kind of, I mean, I don't want to say it's necessarily negative, but, you know, it's not a real exactly positive energy that you're leaving there.
It's definitely leaving an energy that's not going to help what's going on there.
How are you going to feel, Mike? We're going there. How are you going to feel the moment you walk in that house? And possible the answer I know, but I'll ask you anyways.
It is, but there's going to obviously be apprehension. I mean, and we already know that as great as the Sally House was, to me, this is going to make the Sally House like a kindergarten room.
Oh man, I hear you, man.
You know,
I mean, because the Sally House, it's alleged that this tragedy occurred, that this poor child, you know, this doctor butchered her surgery and that she died, but no one knows that for certain. No record of it. No record of it. No one knows. This is truth.
Truth, highly documented, and absolutely happened.
I can't wait to go there, though, man. I know I'm going to have similar. Here's that word for the night. Tonight's word, boys and girls: apprehension.
Yeah.
I'll have those moments where I'm like, God, what are we doing? I had that when we were planning on going to the Sally House. I had like almost like a foreboding feeling, you know. But I'm sure I'll have that. But nope, we're doing this, and it's going to be pretty eye-opening, I believe.
Yeah, and so hopefully this time, I know you were brought along a little further in your, you know, not letting things go so easily, but hopefully this one is going to be huge for you.
Man, if we walk in there, if we hear children's voices in there, I just kind of gave myself the willies there thinking about that. Just because you know that they were so sadly, their lives were brutally brought to an end at such precious young ages.
Yeah.
If we pick up something like that, oh my gosh, that will be personally monumental, but emotional.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just think of the empathic dread feelings that we could have being there. I mean,
Ooh.
and the emotion and the sadness, and that's got to be affecting some people that go through there.
Oh, 100%.
People that feel that.
And I'm going to do my best, Mike, again, to really. I'm not going to try hard. I'm not going to try as hard as I did at the Sally House to hear, to feel, to pick up. It's like I was concentrating too much that I didn't open myself up to just experience stuff,
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go in there and we'll have at it. That sounded terrible.
Yeah.
We're not going to have at it. You know what I mean? And you know what?
Hey, I'm in the back room. All of a sudden you hear, Patrick, come here. Patrick, come on, let's have at it.
No. Yeah. Then rustling and some maybe someone falls down on the. I don't know what the hell you hear. Some rumbling, some moans, maybe a fart and a burp or something. I don't know what the hell's happening.
Well, that would be either one of you or I. Well, it'd be me most likely. But,
most likely. Most likely.
I mean, there is proof of that, of me doing that. You have that recorded as proof.
I absolutely do. Unfortunately, I don't have it on my soundboard right now, but
that's all right. Everybody's heard it. That's been a long-time listener.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Well, that's a great way of wrapping it up, Mike. Again, thanks for making this work. We got this is early, and I'm happy about that. Not as early as we wanted it because of your Yeti issues, but man, you persevered. You made this work. Appreciate it. Hope you have a great night. I'm looking forward to our next adventure, man. My God.
Oh, and did we let everybody know that when this timeline is going to happen? I mean, we were talking about, the booking will be done fairly soon.
Yes.
But this is something that we're going to have to wait till springtime to go.
Yep. I'm thinking probably, April, I would say.
Yeah. Perfect. Awesome.
It's going to be just like I said, Mike. It's going to be springtime. Nature's coming back to life. The drive down there is going to be fantastic.
I heard one group of people that traveled there. They said the drive there was beautiful.
Oh, awesome!
So it's really cool, and it's a different route than what we took.
Okay.
On the interstate, so we're going to be seeing some new stuff and different things on the way down, which we enjoy. That
Oh, I love that.
Seeing new things.
I love road trips, man. That's going to be great. And we'll be prepared, and we're going to do a good job.
Yeah. And prepare yourself, because we are both going to do the sensory deprivation.
Yes, we are.
We got to do it in the attic. We got to do it in the living room. I think I read some activity that was in the living room we could check up on. And who knows, down in the basement.
Yes.
There was actually somebody that wrote a review and said that they were down there and they heard the sound of the voice of a little boy say boo.
Oh, really?
Whether that happened or not, but this is, an account that somebody that stayed there had that happen.
Oh, man. Well, we're going to prep, Mike. We got months, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome.
One more thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
like the music box that we heard at the Sally House.
Yes, that went off on its own.
There was another account that somebody that stayed there. So they were down in the living room and they heard like a nursery rhyme song or whatever upstairs, like 4 or 5 notes of it.
Really?
Well, they went up there to check, and there's a lot of toys there, just like the Sally House. And they did find a toy that might have done that, but there were no batteries in it. So,
oh boy.
God dang it.
Good
One
Lord.
More thing.
Yeah.
I know.
How much time you got, everybody?
And I'm talking about people that have stayed there. When you go there, all the mirrors are covered, just like it was back then. Well, this one group, when they got there, one of the mirrors was not covered, and they left it. But before they left the next morning, it was covered.
No way.
Yeah. That's what they experienced. One of the things they experienced.
Oh, God dang it. Yeah, Mike, in this prep, we have so much time. We got to think of new methods too, stuff that we want to experiment with, and
we got plenty of time to prepare, to figure it out, to do what we need to do, and research everything, know everything about the story, the house, every detail before we go there. And so we can, just go there with the right frame of mind, and
we'll be ready. We'll be ready. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We're excited. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We encourage you to do your own deep dives into the story. Mike has pulled out the axe yet again. I guess that's the sign, the surefire sign that it is time to wrap it up. Now he's showing me
have the blunt.
He's showing me the pointy end. He's like, yeah, this thing will kill you either way. So, well,
anyway,
good luck.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody that we piqued your interest a little bit and entertained a little bit.
And maybe informed just a wee little bit.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, Mike, until next time, thank you again. What do our awesome paranormal pals need to do?
Try and just peace out for once, for a little bit.